Hello. Welcome, everyone. This is the Unnamed Ashes of Creation podcast. I have our co host. We're doing guest co hosts on this show that just magically decided to happen. Hello, this is Fayne. Welcome, Fayne. Welcome. Fayne is a fellow Ashes of Creation content creator and Twitch streamer extraordinaire.
I don't know about extraordinaire, but I'll take it. I'll take it when I can get it. Yeah.
And you have all your links at itsFayne.com, right? So we'll type that in.
itsFayne.com. Follow my Twitch life, my YouTube life, my personal life. Follow it all. Why not?
All the things.
All the things.
So just pimp yourself out a little bit.
So guys, if you don't know me in the Ashes community, my name's Fayne. I stream Ashes theory crafting 2 to 3 times a week, probably coming up some more. I have been a content creator for a couple years now. I was a ex-Overwatch professional, ex-PUBG semi-professional, but I'm back on that MMO life,
Welcome. And if you guys are new here, my name is Kira Cosmo, and everything about me can be found on kiracosmo.com. I am a 10-year veteran in the video game industry, currently on a break, working on content creation and working on myself. And I'm a little bit trying not to get obsessed with Ashes of Creation, but a little bit obsessed with Ashes of Creation. And whatever free time I have has been watching videos and looking up stuff about it. I am currently not in alpha, but Fayne here is in alpha. So we're going to pick his brain a little bit today. So if not picking your brain, I'm going to grill the fuck out of you.
I feel like there's just a big light that's going to come on here.
Yes, one singular chair in the middle of a room with a mirror. But yeah, so just to start off, how long have you been in the alpha?
So I've had alpha access, or whatever they're kind of referring to alpha access, for like 3 years now. I backed this game at Kickstarter. I always tell this story, and everyone's probably sick of hearing it, but I'll never forget, I was bartending at a restaurant when the Kickstarter went live, and I had already kind of hyped for the game via the original 2017 Lazy Peon video. And I remember getting the bar all set up, making sure everyone was good, everyone had a drink, and running into the bathroom and getting on my phone on the Kickstarter and making sure that I got my pack. So I was pretty hyped for this game, and I think it is definitely hitting the scope that they originally promised.
Perfect. And just a little bit of your history in the MMO world. Which MMO did you start with, and what's your type? Are you PvE, and healer, DPS, or tank?
Okay, so my MMO history, I played a little 2D Korean MMO that was ported to the United States back in like the late 90s, early 2000s. I definitely missed the boat on WoW. I didn't start playing WoW until recently. So I'm that, there's always a unicorn. I'm out there. I'm the guy. There was a guy. That's me.
That's guy. Crazy. I've never met. No, I'm kidding.
No, not Maple Story. It was called Nexus TK, guys.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was hardcore into WildStar. I was really hardcore into SWTOR. I'm a big Star Wars fan, so that one definitely got me. Star Wars Galaxies. Other than that, I've tagged pretty much in every single MMO out there. I've done something. I would say SWTOR and WildStar were definitely my big first two. Those are the ones that I went very hardcore, trying to push for world first, things like that. And now, there really hasn't been too much recently that has piqued my interest. I'm
which
keeping an eye
MMO
on
broke
New
your
World.
heart the most?
Oh, which MMO broke my heart? I'm gonna go with WildStar. I am, and I keep coming back to that one. That one it was such a good project. I was following it years in advance, and I loved the sound of, we're gonna make an MMO for the 1%. In retrospect, that should have been the hint that only 1% of the player base is really going to enjoy this MMO, and it's probably going to die. Like, if I could go back and tell Fayne back then, hey, kid, snap out of it, I would be much better off.
Let me tell you, it wasn't even 1%, because WildStar was the first official game that I worked on. I started working there before release and then through release. And the stats that they had on hardcore players who were able to attune was 0.2%.
Boom. Right. Top 0.2. I will remember being so frustrated with that attunement process. It was hard.
It was hard. It was too hard. It was too hard.
You weren't just walking in. Yeah. But it was...
It sucked because the dungeons were so well made, and the encounters were so good. but people didn't get to experience it. But yeah, so we'll go with WildStar. What broke your heart the most?
WildStar's mine. What would be like yours? I mean, being in the industry, what's the MMO that you were looking forward to the most that kind of just you were like, oh, and just felt deflated afterwards?
So besides WildStar, I have a bunch of years in Final Fantasy XI. That game I fucking loved so much. I played World of Warcraft from closed beta to Cataclysm, and then like Cataclysm was when I like kind of kicked the bucket on it, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna have to like let my dream and the love of my life die, and then yeah, I just moved on from there. But yeah, it's World of Warcraft will always have a special place in my heart. I'm a little jaded now towards it. It feels like an ex lover that I don't want to do well in life.
Okay, that's fair. I can understand that, you know, absolutely.
You know, I did try Shadowlands for a little bit, and then I logged in. I just couldn't do it anymore. So yeah, it's sad for me. It's super sad for me because I had such joy and fun in that game, and now when I log in, I'm like, I just want to log back out, and I'm like, I don't know why. But yeah, and then of course WildStar was, we thought, the be all and end all, right? We thought it was going to be the best thing ever, and then it did its little best, but it was just too many issues on top of too many issues on top of too many issues, and it all just came like crumbling down, and it was just like, oh, when they shut down the servers, it was so sad.
Everyone writing their cupcakes.
Oh, that's right. The cupcakes, space cupcakes. But on that, we both seem to have massive hope for Ashes of Creation. We're going to get into that to see, since you've been in alpha and you got to feel the game and those types of things, if the hope should live on, we should have hope, if we should continue this hype train or not. And so far, yeah. How are we feeling so far?
I mean, I feel pretty good about the game, to be perfectly honest. A lot of people have had mixed feelings. I think a lot of the people that haven't gotten their hands on the game have mixed feelings or haven't really looked into the game. There's a lot of naysayers out there that tend to maybe not have the most information. They haven't really looked into it deeply and understood what's actually happening here. I think that the testing this weekend, I heard nothing but positive things.
Same.
I don't think anyone was necessarily white knighting the game. I think a lot of people were very realistic, and they sort of knew where the game was now, and they understood the scope a lot more.
Yeah, so I'm super surprised at how, like you said, I haven't seen super white knighting or anything like that. It's been very succinct, direct feedback, which it's well, from what I've read on Reddit, and I've been trying to scan their Discord a little bit, but so far so good. Obviously, there's the technical bugs and those types of things, but those are easy to get through as long as the core foundation and those features are there and those types of things, like those server issues and stuff should be able to get fixed, and then people would be able to test a little bit better. But it seemed as each day went on, it got better. So there was like super lag on the first day, and then there was a little bit of rubber banding on the second day, and then the third day it seemed a little bit more stable. So that's good to hear as well.
Definitely.
And then as far as like systems in general, in the alpha, I'm not sure what's in there. Which system are you super excited for, and which system have you been able to play around with?
So we've been able to mess with a couple systems on a very rudimentary level. And I will kind of ping off your previous point of the testing itself, not only over this weekend, but over the December to the February to the random spot tests we have. Every test, the overall server has gotten better and better. So I think that even with the hiccups we had this weekend, that's just to be expected when you have probably 10 times the amount of testers hitting these servers that you've had previously. It's one of the first times I've seen us spin up multiple upon multiple upon multiple servers. In terms of systems, we got to play around a little bit with the node system. Now, the funny story about this is, of all the servers that were up, we had some of the biggest guilds on our server.
Nice.
And we believe, we're not 100% sure why, we believe we broke the node system. Every other server was able to spin up a level 3 node, and for whatever reason, we couldn't. So
oh wow,
Steven was definitely gracious enough to come in and spin up 3 of the nodes to level 3 nodes so we could play around with mounts and the mayoral system, citizenship, housing,
Yes,
things like
yes.
that.
And
So I'm big on nodes personally.
And just to recap, level 1 node is like the bare minimum, right? It's like a couple of tents and stuff like that, and then level 2 is which?
So level 2, it's gone by a couple different names. People refer to it as like a like level 1 being that kind of crossroads base level. Level 2 is sort of like a small encampment, or I'm flip-flopping those, like a small encampment. Yeah. So
Okay.
and that should take normally when release a few hours to get to that level 2. And then that level 3 is a village, and that should take a few days.
Nice. And then the mayor system is super exciting to me. Was it fleshed out a little bit? Were you able to pick a mayor and those types of things and like kind of see what it's about and how it will operate?
Yeah, there's definitely some sort of system. They only spawned in at that level a few houses. Once you grabbed a house, you could vote for the mayor, for citizenship. So there were only a few votes, and the person won. It was very interesting. The way the system's working right now is we got server-wide announcements for all 3 of the nodes that said, in 10 minutes, the voting's going to last for 10 minutes. We're going to vote in 9 minutes, in 8 minutes, and every minute it counted down to when you're going to vote for the mayor. The mayor was there. Once we got a mayor in, they were able to build some base level crafting things, some fishmongers, some blacksmiths, armor smiths. We saw the very rudimentary version of some of the crafting systems, for sure.
Oh, nice. And what is the duty of the mayor exactly? The mayor does what?
So the mayor is going to be in charge of a lot of things. They're going to be in charge of building the node. So there are going to be things that you can allocate resources to within the node as it levels up to its various stages. They will get those resources by people donating them or by a tax system. So they're allowed to set their own custom tax rate, which will give you a lot of choice in the game. Okay, maybe I want to be at node A because the taxes are lower and I'm trying to make money, but maybe I want to be at node B. The taxes are a little bit higher, but I'm crafting and they have more opportunity for crafting. They'll take care of that. They'll do a lot of stuff around the sieging and the defense of nodes. There will be systems around that. And yeah, it's really interesting. I personally love the idea that every node type is going to have a different mayoral election process. I think that's really cool.
And mayor is separate from guild leader as well. It's 2 separate, it's different roles.
Yeah, so there will be guild leaders and patron guilds for every node. And those are the guilds that really help out and push a lot of stuff forward and are the biggest contributing factors. And they'll have special privileges within there. But the mayor is completely independently chosen. Say if you're in an economic node, there's a bidding system for the mayor. So you're essentially buying your mayorship. And that might be someone who's not in any of the guilds at all.
Oh, wow. Okay, cool. And then also my biggest concern or my biggest question about all of this is that I think you mentioned that the player gets a house in this particular node at level 3. Some people can come PvP it and completely destroy your town.
Yes.
And then your house and everything is destroyed.
Yeah, so your house will be destroyed. They said it will save a kind of map so that if you reestablish your freehold somewhere else or your housing somewhere else, you'll be able to kind of just put everything down. You won't have to redecorate and get that pixel perfect picture hanging on the wall and make sure the table's at the right angle. That stuff they have kind of streamlined, but having in-node housing is definitely a little bit more dangerous than just a freehold out in the world. That being said, there's also money to be made there. If you buy a house at level 3, the node gets up to a metropolis at level 6, you'll be able to sell that house to players. And there's definitely, a level 6 in-node housing is probably worth a lot more than at level 3.
Oh, nice. I do love the idea of the sense of danger because let's say just theory crafting a little bit. If we were living in this world, that's real. That feels real. That feels like a real life situation that would happen, that you would establish roots into this town and then you can have other people come take it over. And I think that's what Ashes is trying to do in general, is try to make it a realistic experience. Correct me if I'm wrong, but
yeah, I think so. Kind of, yeah, like a realistic or a consequence-based experience for sure.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, because there's no sense like World of Warcraft or like Final Fantasy 11. You establish everything. There's no risk. There's nothing like that makes you feel like the world is ever changing, and that's kind of what I'm excited the most, especially with the node system. Is but also like it's super cool. Like as a guild, you can be like, okay, we're gonna form this guild. Like Tuesday, we're gonna go fuck up this town, this one town, and then like you go in with your pitchforks and whatever and fuck it all up and you know, and it's just like it's super cool. So that's super promising. So for me, the mayor and the node system is what I'm looking forward to the most, or anything that creates that sense of community. And also like in sense of community, you want to defend your node, right? So you all have that camaraderie, which is super cool. So even like is it one guild per node, or it can be like a bunch of people, different guilds and those types of things?
Yeah, it can be definitely a bunch of different people. There will be patron guilds of every node. Those are the ones that kind of have contributed the most. And what's great about the system that they've created is that you can have a large, medium, and small patron guild. And those guilds have a little bit more influence. There's buffs and benefits to being a patron guild. So they're allowing systems to allow the small guilds to get in on those nodes as well. And
Nice.
the siege mechanics, which everyone I think is really excited about the siege mechanics for nodes. I think that is a great way to make people who normally do not participate in PvP have a vested interest in successful PvP. So you can get them say, hey, I don't want to rebuild my house. I put a lot of money and time into this house. I'm going to have to get
Right.
out there and defend my node, even if I'm just a body to fling at somebody. It's going to happen.
Exactly. That's super cool. That sounds like so much fun to me, because like Guild Wars 2, it feels like that sense with guild versus guild and stuff like that. You had that camaraderie with your guild, like, okay, we're this guild and we're gonna, when you took over, I don't remember what they were called, like a base or something like that, your flag would hang, your guild flag would hang, and it would be like, okay, it felt cool to have that like flying. And then other guilds, like if you saw a flag of an enemy guild, you're like, oh, we got to take that fucking flag down. We can't have them have that flag there. So we would go and we take over like that zone and everything like that. So that super excites me, like especially with Wildstar, they try to do that with war plots. And that was super fun when it was working. And then, but yeah, so it's just, I love that they're bringing this aspect into it, and especially with Siege, we got to witness, I believe we got to witness a Siege in the last live stream with the big dragon, right? Is that a Siege? Or is
that was sort of part of a siege. That's the other siege system, is a castle siege. So there are 5 castles in the world, and each castle will be able to be taken over and owned by a singular guild. And that will be more of that instance siege mechanic. So there will be someone who wants to come in and get your castle. Someone is going to, the guild will defend the castle. So what you saw was part of a siege with an open world boss in the area. And we are definitely theory crafting what those open world bosses could mean for the siege.
Okay. And then open world bosses, from what I remember, like let's say World of Warcraft, when they were super popular, a guild or a group of people would go, and then like the opposite faction can pop in and start killing everyone who's killing the dragon, right? And then like, let's say, is that the same in this as well? So if you're sieging with your guild, another guild can pop up and like start attacking you and then take over and start killing the main boss?
Yeah, and in fact, that's a really interesting point that you bring up, and this is a very hotly contested topic within the community. There's definitely people on both sides of this, but the way that it was asked, how is the flagging or the tagging system going to work? And so if you're attacking, let's just say there's this open world dragon, and Kira brings her guild, and you were the first to hit that dragon. You sent the first arrow, the first fireball, whatever it was, and then you yell and say, "Wait, hold on! Why are my rangers and my mages pulling the dragon? Let the tank do their job." No, but so you go ahead and attack that boss, and then Fayne brings his guild in and says, "No, we want this boss." The way that it's going to work is if you tagged it first, you need to do approximately 40% of the damage to have the rights to that drop. And for us to have rights to the drop, we would have to exceed 60% of the damage on that boss. So it gives a little bit of a weight to the tag. So now there's a decision here, and here's where the meta is. Do you continue to hurt that boss and damage the boss, or do you turn around and try to defend your own raid group And then for us, do we just do all out damage, or do we come and try to wipe you out and then kill the boss? So it adds definitely a second level of contesting these open world bosses versus in other games where everyone just tags it once and you're going to get credit.
That actually sounds tactical.
Yeah,
and
there's
strategic.
Definitely a lot of decisions here to be made. Yeah.
That's awesome though, because and then when you're damaging, you won't know if you've done the 40% already, you know, so you just gotta like you said, you gotta figure out, you gotta kill everyone or keep going at it and hope that you've done the most or whatever. Okay, so super cool, super cool. Because I want it to be where it's an epic battle, you and another guild, or even like a third guild that comes in, you know, stuff like that. And yeah, it's gonna be great. Okay. Yeah. That's promising. And speaking of guilds, how many people can be in a main guild? Do you know?
Yeah, so guilds start at 30 as of right now, and they can get up to 300. Now there is a guild buff system where there are guilds, and I can actually share some of this information. We got some of the preliminary guild buffs. Those were definitely talked about and shown. So you can bring up like you can put points into health or mana regeneration. You can put points into magical defenses, the speed that you gather, the speed that you craft. So there will be a huge tree in the same way that you put points into your abilities and your passives and your weapon skills. That'll be a guild system as well. And so you can put more points into your guild size and increase it from 30 all the way up to 300. But that's at the expense of maybe not gathering as quickly or not having as much health regeneration or mana regeneration within your guild. And there will be huge trees for that as well, which is definitely going to make people reconsider. I know I've heard a lot of people saying, well, I was going to have a 300-person guild, but now we're going to have 3 100-person guilds because the guild buff might be really epic.
Okay, cool. And then speaking of guilds, you keep talking about a guild named Axiom?
Yes, I'm a member of Axiom. I know we've got a lot of
guilds.
Axiom people in chat. Guys, Axiom is a semi-hardcore PvX guild. We've definitely got a lot of stuff going on. We've got a lot of planning and things that we're working on. An extremely passionate community of gamers and a really friendly community of gamers. People jump into voice on day one and they're like, oh my God. We actually had a lot of people join up with Axiom after just being with us in the Discord during this testing. And they were super excited. And they said, wow, this is just a really cool group of people. I've been with Axiom for just about a year now. I'm definitely on the newer side to Axiom in general. They've been around in one iteration or another for about 5 years. We're a multi-gaming community. We're focusing right now. We've got some people very interested in New World as well.
Okay.
And people are always playing random games. We definitely had that Among Us month where everyone was just playing Among Us. That definitely existed for a while.
Where you get to find out who your true friends are and who your pro liars are.
Oh yeah, you hear everyone's lying voice. Really, just like you know who's full of it then.
Perfect. Sweet. So I have a little bit of a small community. Basil's going to hate me for this because I'm personally not sure what I want to do. Oh, thank you for the follow. I'm personally not sure what I want to do with myself in guilds because I do have a small community, but big epicness appeals to me. So I'm debating what I want to do. So we're not there yet. Are you guys open for applications?
Yeah, you guys can always go over to joinaxiom.com.
There we go.
Fill out an application. Come in. You can even get into the Discord and jump into a friends and guest channel or jump into the recruitment channel and talk. We've got a bunch of great people in recruitment that are doing work. I mean, there's probably about 7 or 8 of us in that recruitment channel, and we have been doing work the last few weeks because there are a lot of people out there. I will say this. No matter the size of your community, I know a lot of people play MMOs solo, and games like World of Warcraft have allowed that to exist, that it is possible to do a little bit of all the content solo. I think that Ashes is going to be a game where you're going to want a community or at least a group of friends to play with, because things will be balanced for about 8 people versus 8 people throughout the content.
Perfect. Yeah, because me thinking about having a small community in this guild, in this game, might not cut it for me personally, because I tend to go hardcore. I tend to go to big battles, things that usually I will do whatever my guild tells me to do. and I'm not the leader. I'm usually not a leader. So I'm going to have to think about this. And then, yeah. And then, is there anything so far that you see in alpha that promotes community as well, just besides just guilds?
Well, so something too that I think a lot of people forget because it's never been true in any game before that I know of is that in fact when you look at kind of the levels of what things mean and the way that they sort of control your world, node citizenship is actually at a higher level than your guild. So
Oh,
if
wow.
half of your guild is a citizen of one node and half is a citizen of another node and you guys go to war, you actually will be going to war against your own guild. So your
Oh, wow.
node citizenship tends to reign supreme. And I think that's actually kind of cool. And it will make for a lot of alliances that are dissolving and reforming and people hopefully nobody gets too mad at each other, but I think that's going to be a really interesting system.
That super excites me so much. And then so far, what are your top 3 pros in alpha? Like what are your top 3 solid pieces of gameplay that you've gotten that you've really enjoyed?
So, top 3 solid pieces of gameplay. I mean, I love the fact that the world feels so expansive. It looks amazing. It's just we got everyone on mounts in alpha and just ran around the area, and you can see on the alpha 1 map, guys, and I think it's been estimated that's about 12 to 15% of the overall map. I think it took us a good hour. I So that's number 1. I love the node system already, that the little bit that is still in there. I love, love, love the node system. And I would say that so far I love how even how grand some of these big world bosses feel, the big dragons that are out there and all of that. They really do feel amazing. I mean, they just feel incredible, and everything that you do feels meaningful.
Awesome. So now combat, currently in its current state, combat is not the final situation, correct?
No. Yeah, no, we're seeing a big combat rework coming up soon. The combat doesn't feel bad. It feels just a little bit clunky. It doesn't feel as smooth as the final product will be. I think that's been stated multiple times over, for sure.
Okay. Which MMO can you compare it to the most in terms of combat? Is it tab targeting? Is it like telegraph system, like WildStar, or there was the one like Terra?
Yeah, so Terra. I mean, the hybrid system works so well that it's really hard to draw a parallel to something. I did play a mage in the alpha, and if anyone's seen the mage video, there are the fireballs. I tab target to somebody, I shoot a fireball. It feels great. It feels smooth. And then there's the prismatic beam, which is just a giant beam that you're shooting out the front of you. And you have to literally move your character around. And as something moves, you have to track with it. So I think that there's going to definitely be a combat skill cap in this game. But I think the ceiling is going to be pretty high, but I think the floor will still be decently low, that it's going to be super, super approachable.
So it's a mix of tab targeting and type of a telegraph type system. Like kind of I guess like League of Legends where you have a skill that's directly at someone and it will automatically hit them. And then there's those skills that have like the fans and the marks on the floor that you have to kind of specifically hit.
Yeah, as of right now, I haven't noticed specifically any large telegraphs. So you're going to have to be paying attention to what's going on around you. And I think there will be that kind of ability or that requirement to know, okay, that's a mage. He's going to have this ability. He just cast it. He'll have that again in 20 seconds. In 20 seconds, I need to make sure I'm ready to get out of the way. Well, that's a tank. He just pulled me in. So if I run, he can't pull me in for another 8 seconds. Things like that.
Sweet.
But the combat it's definitely going to be iterated upon, but already you understand what they're going for, which is really
Awesome.
cool.
Awesome. And yeah, so I'm super excited about that. And then also, as far as combat goes, I'm so curious how healing is going to happen. There's a cleric, I believe there's cleric option in Alpha 1.
Yeah, there's definitely a cleric option. I haven't gotten too hands-on with the cleric yet, just because I'm trying to save opinions for a lot of these classes for down the road. But the cleric healing felt impactful when we had clerics in the group. If I got maybe a little bit too close or wasn't fast enough getting away and using a blink ability as a mage and took a big chunk of damage, you could definitely feel that there's that moment in games when you're very low health and you're a little skittish and you're back, and then you start to see your health bar go up as the healer is taking care of you, and there's that moment where you're like, okay, I'm now ready to re-engage because I know that this healer's got me. It never felt like it was a struggle for the clerics to heal people. It definitely felt like there you definitely saw that the cleric was healing you.
Okay,
Now,
cool.
what kind of cleric do you want to play? I know you're a healer.
I actually want to be a bard.
Oh, you're going to be a bard. So you're going for the all-around buffs.
I'm a support buffer person that I'm so passionate about supporting those types of things. I'm pulling up the classes now, and it seems so ambitious. They have the primary and then the secondary. So bard is minstrel, but then you have bard, cleric, and then bard, fighter. It's like blade dance. Like all of these sound amazing on paper. So and the scope. I mean, it just blows me away how the scope of this is going to play out. But do you start off with the bard and then like in about 10 levels or like 20 levels, then you can pick a subclass, or is it like...
Yeah, it's going to be so your main archetype is one of the 8: bard, cleric, fighter, mage, ranger, rogue, summoner, tank. You're going to then at 25 pick a secondary class, and then that's going to form your archetype, which is kind of the overall name. Now,
Perfect.
They've said this is just simply going to augment your abilities. So your play style, I think, is going to remain very much the way that your original archetype. And this is just theorycraft, everybody. So I'm, in 2 years we can all look back at this and be like, "Ha, Fayne was an idiot." It's going to augment it. So the examples I always give is we've all seen that mage blink ability where it blinks from one location to another. Well, maybe if you've gone mage rogue, which is a shadow caster, I believe. Maybe you blink, and when you come out the other side, you're invisible for 3 seconds. If you're a ranger cleric, so you're a soul bow, maybe you'll do a big AoE of arrows raining down, but any of your allies or your party members that are within there will get a slight bit of healing. So I think you're still going to see the original play type, but it's going to be how you want to augment your skills to really help the group out.
And then there's talent trees on top of that as well, right?
Yeah, there's active talent trees. So you've got your active abilities that you can pick and level up. There are passive talents that you can help, maybe more crit damage, things like that. And then there will be weapon proficiency talents. So you'll be able to maybe do more damage or equip higher level weapons, because in this, any class can wield any weapon, which is an interesting and really exciting design choice.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's awesome. And then, so I'm looking summoner, bard, Longcaller seems really cool to me. Do you know which one you're going to go for specifically?
I've definitely said things before. I think that really to pick one out this early for me personally would be disingenuous. I've played tank, I've played support, I've played DPS. I've done all of them in various games, and I've enjoyed parts of them all, and I've really not enjoyed parts of them all. And it'll be really interesting to see. Part of something that I'm definitely going to do as we get more of these people in here is I definitely want to do, or more of these classes in here, a run, like maybe a play test, level 1 through level 10 or level 1 through level 20 of every single primary archetype, and just see which style feels good. Which of this do I not mind playing for the next 250 hours? Because that's about what it's going to take to level a character to max level.
When there's this many classes, I get class FOMO. Like I'm like, oh, what if I was this? What if I was this? Is it like Final Fantasy 11 where you can change at any time, or what you are is what you are?
What you are is what you are. For your primary archetype. Your secondary, Steven has said there will be an ability and a quest line to go through and change that, as well as a cooldown period. So you're not going to be able to just switch your secondary and reinsert some points and new talents and then just go. If you're like, wow, I'm playing a high sword, which is a fighter cleric, and it really doesn't feel impactful. I'm not doing as much healing or as much support as I would want for the augment. Maybe I want to go, a hunter, which is a fighter ranger. So you can then switch over and do a quest to move that secondary archetype, but it will be, from what we understand, pretty punishing.
So it's awesome that you are able to do that. So I'm okay with it be punishing.
Yeah, I'm fine with the punishing. I think that's the biggest thing when you get into this game, and it's the overarching message that whenever we go down any path, I tend to talk about is it's going to be about choices. You're going to do A, and that's going to prevent you from doing B, C, or D, whether that's just based on a game mechanic or the fact that there's only 24 hours in a day. You will be locked out from choices. So your choices will feel impactful. And I think that's a motivating factor to really go deep and really succeed and excel at whatever choices you do make. And you're just going to have to get over the fact that there's a lot of the stuff you're not seeing.
Sweet. And then we just got new information. Heads up from Steven, Mr. Steven himself. Heads up that I intend to schedule a playtest for this Thursday. It will be a 5-hour test from noon to 5 Pacific time. Margaret is preparing an announcement to go out tomorrow with details. Furthermore, going forward, we will test weekly on Wednesdays. Oh, wow. Because right now, is it just on like a couple sporadic tests?
Yeah, we've definitely had sporadic tests for sure. They've definitely been hit and miss. There are some scheduled tests, some scheduled weekends, but yeah, there definitely are sporadic tests.
But you can't log in right now and just start.
You cannot log in and play right now.
Right.
It's not a persistent world. They definitely bring it up. Even throughout testing, they'll bring it up for a while and then they'll shut the servers down. Sometimes they'll shut the servers down for 30 minutes to an hour throughout testing and say, everyone, take a break, go get some food, go get some water, have some alone time, and we'll see you all in an hour as they fix something. But I'm very impressed, and I say this unconditionally, 100%. I am impressed at the rate that Intrepid can iterate upon its project to fix problems.
Sweet. And it'll definitely help once they have an office where they can all go in and be together, and then yeah, it's going to be much better once there's an office for sure. And we've talked about the pros of alpha. Is there anything, not necessarily a con, but anything that you think needs the most work so far?
I mean, combat definitely needs a lot of work, but I think that people that focus on the combat right now are putting a little bit the cart before the horse. I think the most important thing right now is to really get that server stability, because it's going to be a grand game with a lot of people. And I imagine how they will develop it is once they get the server stable and everything worked out and everything's working and running very smoothly, they are going to then say, okay, now we add this system. And if that system doesn't cause any problems, now we add this system. And as soon as you run into a bug, you know where to look because that's the system you just implemented. It's going to be very much plug and play for sure.
Sweet. And then so the big question is, should I board the hype train?
Ooh, should you board the hype train?
Should I board the hype train? I've been burned in the past.
We've all been burned. It's really hard. I think at some point Stephen referred to MMO gamers as like beaten dogs. And,
yes.
It's true.
We keep coming back though.
We're hopeful. We'll come back.
Yes.
We definitely want to come back, but it's tough, right? It is tough. I think that some of the hype for this game, depending who you're talking to, is a little bit too real. It is a little bit too out there. It might be even, suffice it to say, a little bit too aggressive. That being said, when you get into the game, it feels meaningful, and you really understand when you understand the game systems, and then you get in there and play even in alpha, you understand the scope of what they're going for sure. The quote that I've been using for the last couple days has been, I had somebody in my channel regularly. She was great. She was very hyped for Ashes. She was very disappointed that she wasn't around for the Kickstarter to get into Alpha 1.
Mm-hmm.
She played this weekend, and the thing she said multiple times in Discord was, this weekend alone was worth the whole $500. This game is going to be amazing.
Okay.
And I think there's definitely hype, and there's definitely a lot of hope going forward for sure.
Now, a lot of games, once they release, the hype is there, the excitement is there, everyone is doing the guild fights and everything like that. We just need to hope that doesn't die off.
Yeah, and it's always going to die off to an extent, right? There's always going
Right.
to be a certain percentage of the player base that has hopes, that plays the hot new thing, and then just leaves it. And it's that desktop icon that they have for the next 3 years, and they never revisit it. And that's fine. It's going to happen. I don't think this is the game for everybody. I will 100% say that. Everyone wants to say, they throw around terms like the WoW killer and stuff. This isn't the WoW killer,
I'll
everybody.
never call any game a WoW killer because,
yeah.
yeah.
Why?
There's,
What?
there's too many ride or die wowers out there.
Yeah, 100%. It'll never be the WoW killer. It's probably not going to be the Guild Wars 2 or Final Fantasy 14 killer. These games are all immensely different. But I think this game is going to serve a very dedicated sect of the MMO marketplace, and I think it's definitely a game that I would, if anyone's ever played an MMO, I think you should try out Ashes, and you should give it a few months. This isn't going to be something that you play for 30 days and then decide whether you like it or not, because most of the game isn't going to be experienced until many months down the road.
Right, because the node system, it sometimes does take months for the nodes to level and even get to that point, right?
Yeah, the nodes, it'll take months and months and months. I think they'll level up a little bit more quickly early on as everybody is in there doing things. That being said, just even your adventuring level, they say the estimate is a average gamer, which I know that we have no average gamers that are out there in chat or watching this on YouTube. Everyone's an above average. We know you're all the best gamers out there.
Yes.
You're super hardcore. But they said it's good. They take the average gamer 4 to 6 hours a day for 45 days to reach max level.
Okay.
I think I think that alone is going to be a huge almost barrier to entry, but not even that. It's just a goal. It's going to be a fun time to play through.
I think people are open to that as well, because I mean, look at the success of WoW Classic. I mean, there's no boost, there's no nothing that you can get to make the leveling experience faster. And I know so many people who are loving Classic right now, and because they wanted that experience, they wanted to feel like they earned something as far as leveling goes, and I'm excited for that. That excites me to be able to work around 40 days to get, because when I first played World of Warcraft, to get to 60, it felt like an experience, and it was a great experience to me. Like, even when you hit 40, getting your first mount, it felt earned. It felt like hard-earned work that you put into it. And so that's super exciting. I like that a lot. And I know that they have no plans. Yes, I know they have no plans of doing pay for convenience items, right? None.
The store is 100% cosmetic. 100, and we've been having this debate a lot recently with people. It's 100% cosmetic. That's it. There's no pay to win, no pay to convenience. And it's not even cosmetic like I need to buy a mount from the store. It's I need to buy that skin for a mount, and I still need to earn that mount or find that mount or get that mount within the game to be able to apply the skin. So it doesn't even make what you're doing easier. It's just going to make it look a little bit more flashy.
Perfect. Because that was my big concern, was that when you're in an MMO and you look at someone, you're like, wow, that person did a lot of work to get whatever the fuck they're wearing right now. In the beginning, I was thinking that the cosmetics were just like, you just straight up buy them and then you can start out with epic looking gear. But the fact that you're saying that you have to get the gear first, you have to earn the gear first, or you have to earn the mount, and then it's a skin for that particular mount, excites me.
Yeah, I think that's one of the really now let me turn this back on you and ask you, because I ask a lot of people this question. But when you see things in game, and I've gotten the whole gamut of answers for this, so there's no right or wrong answer, but when you see people in game and you see this great skin that they have that's really cool looking, and then you see somebody with a sword, then maybe that sword doesn't look as cool, but you know what they had to go through, that was a long, painstaking process to get this super rare item. What do you tend to weigh more? Do you weigh them equally? Do you consider them completely separate?
I'm a cosmetics person, so I'll specifically do things to get the prettiest item or whatever is the prettiest to me. But a good example, I guess, would be back to World of Warcraft, vanilla World of Warcraft. I believe it was Quell Sarar. It was a sword that you had to get. It was from the dungeon DM Dire Maul. So you had to get, like, it was this whole epic quest that you had to do. And the sword wasn't pretty at all. It just looked like a generic sword. But what you had to do is at the time, you had to take that sword, you had to put it under Nyxia and have her fire breathe on the sword. And then you can turn in that quest for the, what do you mean? Shit, it looks so good. It just looked like a regular sword to me. But when you saw someone walking around with it, like, oh my God, that person had to kill Nyxia and stuff in order to get that sword. The sword looked awesome. I'm a minority. I'm sorry. It just looked like a regular sword. I don't know. It's just like, yeah. So it just like, I remember it had like the runes in it, I think. The Thunder Fury. Oh, Thunder Fury too. But yeah. Kill Nyxia plus a lot of other stuff. Exactly. So you had to go through this whole journey, this whole epic quest in order to do this one Quell-Sarar quest. And I would look at people and be like, wow, that person is like really, really, really awesome. And but then also like I look at people's transmogs and I was like, oh my God, that transmog is really cool and those types of things. And it's just like, but they had to go to dungeons to get those specific pieces in order to transmog their gear into those pieces. So it's just a lot of work goes into both, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely a really fair take. I know that the answer I get a lot is the cosmetics devalue the earned items and the cool looking earned items. I've never had that opinion personally. I think that, like you said, I know what it took to get that thing. So even if it isn't the best looking thing, you get massive respect because you have that, because I know what you went through to get that.
Right, exactly. And especially if that cash shop is going to do the whole, you have to earn the gear first and then you can skin that gear. Mm-hmm. It still makes me feel like, oh, wow, that person, had to do all this stuff to get that. And like, so tier sets, like World of Warcraft, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 in the early days, those were like, oh my God, like someone standing in Orgrimmar with like a full tier 3 set, like, oh my God, this fucking guy is like amazing. This is awesome. So like, I hope that they have something like that with tier sets where you know what dungeon they came from or like what boss they had to kill in order to get that. And I hope that it's not like just a whole mess of like cosmetics and stuff like that. So like, I want to be able to look at your character and know what you went through to get that item.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people will do that. I don't imagine if I got a legendary sword that there's only X amount of on the entire server, there will only be a certain amount of them. I don't think I would ever apply a skin to that. I would want you to know that this is what I'm rocking right now. I did this. I went through all that work.
Exactly. I remember there was a weapon that was absolutely hideous to me. This was vanilla World of Warcraft Ragnarok first time, and it was called the Lava Dredger. And it was a mace, and it was like just a gear, and it had a spinning gear on it. It was for my shaman. And it just literally looked like a wrench. But you had to kill Ragnarok in order to get that wrench. And I would wear it. And it was 0% my aesthetic, 0% of anything that looked good to me. But I would wear it because I knew like that's a status symbol. It's a status symbol in the game. It's like, oh, wow.
100%.
So yeah. So I'm super excited. First, I was a little hesitant on the cash shop stuff because I was like, oh, this stuff looks so good for like just to buy. But like, yeah, the fact that you have to earn it first and then you can skin like even the mounts, because I don't want to see everyone like new players running around with all these epic looking mounts and those types of things. Like it's just too much. It's like it's too much. So the fact that you have to earn it and then skin it is great.
Yeah, we don't need a bunch of people riding around on the Snorse on day one or anything like that.
I need an explanation. I keep seeing this word pop up in your stream.
So so the Snorse is kind of a meme that's been running around the community. It's the Wisp Whelk, and it looks like a giant snail horse
with goo like coming
big,
from it.
Tall. Yeah, it's a tall snail, and it's all
there it is.
Underneath. I think this weekend we also had Snelephant and Snamel come up as well.
Oh my goodness!
Dislike this mount so much. I cannot even.
I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan.
Not my
it says the plan is for it to have a slight glow to it. So if it glows, maybe I'll like it. You know, I'm RGB everything, so
you can get some salt. You know, just get a little salt and take care of that.
Yeah, it's a little snotty looking. It's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. I'm glad I'm gonna get in with the community inside jokes.
All the community memes, you know.
All the community memes. If it makes squishy sounds, oh my goodness. Yeah, that would be great. That'd be great. So I think that's all the questions that I have about Alpha. Do you want to take some questions from the chat?
Yeah, we can definitely. Let's see what chat wants to know.
Anyone want to ask someone who has been playing the Alpha 1 any questions? Wait a couple of seconds. If it squishes, people will pay. Notes taken by the sound guy. Yeah, Meat Persons is a sound designer.
If it squishes, people will pay. I like that.
What am I going to name this podcast? It's the unnamed podcast right now. How are the raids? Have we done? Are there raids? Like raid?
There is a raid. It definitely, as you go into it, feels massive, and in looking at it, you know it's going to be really, really tough to fight through. Unfortunately for this test, the raid, I think it was because we artificially leveled the node, the GM artificially leveled the node. It didn't unlock the boss at the end, but there were a lot of really tough bears inside this raid. It had a great lava aesthetic. You can tell that if you were going in there, it's going to take a while to get to the very end. This is obviously an early iteration of a raid. I will say that in a previous test, myself and one of my guild leaders went in and we ran all the way through just ourselves. We just ran past everything. We got to the final boss. We almost got it down. It had 22,000 health, and I think we got it to 21,900 before we died. You know, so it's just nice. It was definitely punishing, and that's another exciting thing is when you do these raids in game, they're going to be adaptive actually, and so they've talked about if you hit certain benchmarks for the first boss, so you just absolutely obliterate the first boss, you get it underneath a time benchmark and a damage benchmark, and you don't have anyone die, the second boss in this raid is actually going to tune up. The second boss itself will become a little bit harder. And as bosses become harder or not as hard, the loot table changes as well. And that's really exciting. So you have to, it's not so much clearing a raid on Mythic or on Heroic, it's we need to do these things to these bosses so quickly so that we can then turn around, and when we hit that final boss, it's dropping the best materials to craft the best weapons in the game.
Oh my goodness, yes. And then also there's a death penalty, right? In Ashes?
Oh yeah, there is a death penalty. I definitely experienced it a few times over this weekend, to say the least. It seems to vary. Obviously the numbers that we're using are not tuned, but the average time someone would die, they would lose about 10% of their experience, but it's, and I'm saying that incorrectly, actually. It's 10% experience debt, for sure.
Okay, there's a separate bar, right? There was a separate bar underneath.
Separate bar, yeah.
Okay, yeah, so it's a separate bar, then that goes up. And then you have, once you gain experience, that bar will go down.
Yeah, and you won't gain experience on your main bar until that experience debt is completely cleared. So you do have to say, okay, well, sorry.
That happens in PvP as well. So PvP, someone comes, ganks you, you die.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh boy.
I was killing some bandits this weekend, and a guildmate came along and he just cast a spell on me to be friendly, but he didn't realize that I was pretty low health. And so he added a little bit of playtime to my session that day, that's for sure.
Oh man, and then when you're max level, does it de-level you? Because Final Fantasy 11, it used to de-level you if you had died and you were near. If you had just leveled and you're like near the beginning of your experience bar in Final Fantasy 11 and you died, it would de-level you. It would knock you down.
So they haven't said, I haven't heard definitively. I heard them say no. I heard them say possibly it will sort of de-level, but not really. So they've gone back and forth on this, but you won't actually lose a level at any specific point. It will just cause a lot of experience that you have to clear.
Okay. Because if there was a de-leveling, imagine you're in a raid and you just keep wiping, and then your guild just starts losing levels.
Yeah, that would be not fun.
That would be not good. That'd be not good.
So how did movement feel? I think movement felt fine. I think moving around before the mounts came into the game felt really long. And I don't mean in a real trudging, punishing kind of way. It was more along the lines of, if I'm going to go from here to there, I need to know the reason I'm going from here to there. You would find yourself exploring, and then all of a sudden you're 15 minutes out from your node. You're just way out in the middle of nowhere, and it takes a while to get back. Once mounts came in, it definitely made the from node to node feel a lot smaller, but it wasn't, I'll get there in 30 seconds and I'll just run over there. It was still a while, and the way they've designed this, you will be running along and there's just going to be a giant cliff in front of you, and you have to either find your way down or find your way up and around depending on where you are. The movement felt really good. It felt very fluid to me, outside of the slight rubber banding.
And then we got, what class are you looking to play and why that class? I think we answered that before, but go ahead. I saw that question pop up a couple of times.
Unknown.
That's right.
Everyone's always trying to pin me to a class. They want to. I think they want to put me.
Is that why they keep asking? Okay.
Everyone wants me to say Bard. It's never Bard, guys. That's you can just mark that one off. I don't think, but I say that, and then maybe I'll end up playing a Bard because I'll really like it. So I don't know. It's unknown. We're not going to go with that one.
You have a history of barding?
I have zero history of barding. I don't know why they want me to be a Bard. They just. It's whenever I take a hard stance on something, they just want me to do something completely different.
Perfect. Stay strong and stay away from the Bard.
Exactly. Can you go behind 100% death punishment? That's a pretty good question. Yes. As of right now, yes. We won't know long term.
Okay. I'm seeing a lot of, where was it? Salty. Oh, that sounds great in theory, but goes back to the WildStar realm of doing things, too many hardcore things. There needs to be a balance, and I hope that they listen to feedback, and I hope people provide feedback where, this is just not happening, or this is not going to work for me. I have a full-time job, I have a family, those types of things. Like, I can't just sit in the game and, fix my experience because someone keeps ganking me. So I feel like if they get enough of that feedback, or if that's what's happening, then they'll adjust in those types of things. Because they definitely, the art of the MMO is finding that balance. WildStar was like the super extreme. And then I feel like it was to a detriment, but they didn't adjust. They didn't adjust anything. They didn't fix anything until it was too late. So hopefully now that everyone's in alpha, there's passionate people playing the game, those types of things, I feel like they have time to balance those things out. What level of testing access do you have? 0. I have 0 level of testing access.
I'm slowly working on her truth. Don't worry. We'll get her in there.
No, it's okay. How is server stability? Saw that. I saw a couple of Reddit posts about that.
It was good. It was what I would expect for an alpha. It's the big thing is, and I can never say this enough, this is not like an early access alpha, like so many titles you see on Steam that stay in early access for a year. Last Oasis is my most recent example of that they're still pre-alpha early access. This is an actual development alpha. We are learning this game as they build it. We're iterating upon processes, and definitely this studio is listening to feedback, which is huge.
Also, you got to keep in mind that this is literally, so they can do as many internal tests as they want, but this is the first time that they've actually had a massive amount of people on their servers testing out these things, I believe.
Yeah, 100%.
Why is the Snorse on the screen? The Snorse will always be there now.
Because it lives there now. It lives there now, Software. Thanks.
Did you witness any crafting or caravan quests in A1?
Yeah, I mean, there was some very basic crafting, and we could talk about sort of the costs of those, but it's so placeholder right now that you would have to do a little bit of work, and you would have to get a few people together to launch a caravan, just based on the resources. But other than that, it was pretty. We saw what they were going for, and we see what they'll be going for in the future. I'm excited to see the full artisan system, which we should have early alpha 2. We should have a really fleshed out artisan system.
Now, explain the caravans to me a little bit.
So it's going to be really tough to move product. There's not just going to be an auction house where you go to a place and you list your stuff and you sell it.
Oh, no.
There will be auction house style and type things within economic nodes, but other than that, so there's going to be a lot of, like we said, everything has consequence and everything is a choice. So you might need to move some materials from your node to another node because they'll sell more. So you'll put in some resources and you'll create a caravan. Caravan is just like it sounds, a little wagon or whatever the cosmetic skin you tend to apply to it. You'll hook up a mount, someone will ride that mount in front of it, and the caravan's going to move. Now,
like the payload, like you're moving the payload in.
You're moving the payload in Overwatch. Guys.
In Overwatch,
keep 3 people on the payload at all times, so it moves fast.
Literally.
But the caravan can be attacked, and if it is attacked and everyone is killed and the caravan is destroyed, you will lose materials. It's a very punishing part. So there's already groups that are forming that said, we'll be really good PvPers, and how do I want to earn money in this game? I'm going to say, okay, I'll charge you 100 gold to move your caravan, to help move your caravan from point A to point B, and if we get it there successfully, I want another 100 gold.
Caravan mercenaries. Bounty hunters.
We got bodyguards in here.
Yeah.
That's it's a great system. And there'll even be naval caravans, so you can put
Caravan
it on a boat.
Mandalorians.
Look out for pirates.
Oh my goodness, and pirates. Okay. It's so exciting. Okay. I mean, half exciting, half scary, but also this game is like the game of Risk. Literally the game of Risk.
Oh yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome.
So what system are you most interested in? Let me turn this around and ask you, what system do you feel that you're most interested in? What was the thing that made Ashes, you saw it and you went, click, this is a great game?
For me, I'm super excited about living in a little community with a mayor and my little house and, being the little villager outside, maybe with my cows or whatever pets I have. And, doing the little villager thing, but also protecting my village, also those types of things. So the mayor system, the node system, those types of things super excite me, especially like Final Fantasy. There's a housing system, and it feels like a little community, like a little cul-de-sac type thing that you're living with a bunch of other people. But there's no, you don't get to defend it or anything like that. It's just there forever. So the fact that there's a house and you want to protect your house and protect your belongings and strategically do so excites me. And I'm not going to be excited once I lose everything. I know that's for sure.
Oh no, you're going to feel awful. It's going to feel awful when you lose everything, and then you get to start over. And do I stay at this node? Do we move to
revenge?
A new node? What do we do?
But revenge. Then you get to be like, okay, now you bring out your revenge side, your sadistic side a little bit, and let's go get those fuckers. Because then you'll plan, and then. Oh man, and then I remember back in Guild Wars 2 days, there would be people sneaking into team speaks and stuff like that, trying to figure out where those guilds were and stuff like that. So that was all fun to me. You'd have plants and people very strategic. And I want to use my brain. I feel like I want to use my brain in this game. There's a lot of games where I just want to zone out, just mindlessly do something, but I want to be able to use my brain, think about what I'm doing, think about where I'm going, think about who I'm fighting. And that seems like where this is going.
100%. We saw a lot of guilds doing a lot of PvP in the early alpha. And we said, kind of amongst Axiom, we said, well, it seems silly to make enemies this early on, a couple years out from launch of this game, but it's, you do what you want, I guess.
I was going to say, does Axiom have an enemy yet? Do you guys, is there enemies on your radar?
We have no enemies. We're a very friendly guild. We've got
so far
some guilds that we are friendly with. We have no official alliances. And when we do have official alliances, those will be top secret for sure.
Right. Alliances were a big thing in Guild Wars 2 until those people would turn around and backstab you and then form their own alliances with other people. It was very Survivor-y type situation where people would talk to people and then they'd be like, oh, but we have this stuff over here and we'll give you all this good stuff if you join our alliance, and then secretly drop those alliances and it's super exciting. Awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Here, are you looking for a guild in Ashes? I am not sure yet. I know my community wants me to lead a guild, but I kind of want to either have my own little guild and then ally with a giant guild or be in a giant guild. That's my goal. So probably leaning towards getting everyone into a giant guild.
Kind of getting having some bodies around to defend that little freehold you have.
Exactly. Because
yeah.
While I am good, well, not good, I wouldn't say good. PvP scares me a little bit. I'll do it, but I'm mostly running away before I'm actually like going into a fight, unless I know someone's behind me to help me out. Because I'm like healer most of the time, so I'm just like, oh no, I'm not going to be able to do anything. But if I have like a little small group of people, it would be much better.
Yeah, that's true. I will say that's one thing that I appreciate about Axiom, and I see a lot of the members in chat trying to pimp Axiom out there, but it's great to have a large guild that feels like a small, close-knit community, and I think that's keep in mind. You have your small little guild. There's going to be a lot of guild buffs that you're going to have out there, and that's going to be really.
Is this
really
it?
cool.
There we go. Link it in the chat for those of you. I think I'm the only one who can post links. Join our Discord. I might join your Discord. Oh, there's you. Okay.
Come in and talk. Come in and talk.
Tabletop RPGs, nice. Community nights.
We got a good tabletop group. We've got a Sea of Thieves group. We've definitely got most of the games that are out there. We definitely take a look at, and if the guild or the community wants to play it, anytime a flavor of the month game comes up, we usually have got 20 or so people playing that and are really enjoying it.
Nice. Awesome. 18 plus gaming community based in North America. That's the only thing is my time zone is all out of whack. So I'll probably have to be playing till
it's going to be a little bit rough.
Yeah, it's going to be a little rough. So I don't know if I need to find an EU time zone because I am an American living in Ireland right now. Backstory. It's 11:30 p.m. here. So whatever that translates, I have to have the world clock up at all times. So it's 3:20 in San Francisco or 6:20 right now in New York. So yep. I will probably have to play till like 4 o'clock in the morning my time. Is what's going to happen.
You're probably going to be better off finding an EU guild because so many of those server
events... You're trying to get rid of me already?
No. I'm just saying because so many of those server events happen. So things like sieges, when they're declared on a node, they happen, but you don't get to just choose when it happens. You can't do it at 2 a.m. There's a whole week-long process, and then it only will happen during the prime time of the server. And that's Steven doing so that to make sure that no one's sneaking in stuff at 2 a.m. and sieging down and forcing people to stay up. Which is great, but it's going to be a little late for you, but we'd love to have you.
We'll find it. We'll figure it out. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
We'll see what prime time is for them. Does the game seem like it will be good for people who just want to explore the world in a group?
I think so. I mean, you've watched a lot of the videos. What do you think about the world? Do you think that it would be fun to just go out there and explore and see a bunch of stuff?
I am a little worried about getting ganked by a bunch of people, but yeah, it looks great. I was watching one YouTube video where Steven was running around, and yeah, the environment looks great. The maps and the zones so far look really great. I think it'll be fine. I think it should be fine. If anything, you just have an alliance to call back up from. I'm like, hey guys, I'm over here.
Yeah, you just bring a really big group to go explore.
Exactly. I think some groups may be very territorial. We will have to see how it turns out. Like, as long as I guess you don't start going into someone else's like node territory that you don't agree with. And it's like, there's no factions, right? It's just people versus people. It's just like
everybody versus everybody. Everybody's out there. Yeah.
And you can RP and decide if you want to do, I don't like this person or I'm okay with this person. And it's really up to you, right?
Oh yeah, there's entire guilds that are now forming there's a role-playing dwarven guild, and everybody in their guild has said, we're going to be dwarves in this guild, we're going to role play, we're going to go to the mountains, and that's just what we're going to do. And I think that that's really cool that this far out, they're already forming their idea of creating Vera and really getting into Vera.
I just watched a few of their old videos. One of them is 4 years ago called A Mage's Life. It seems like the game changed a little bad, maybe a little downgrade in terms of the combat and movement. Can you please react to it and ask itsFayne if the game would reach that level eventually?
I remember A Mage's Life. I think I do remember that video from a while back. That was a very early iteration. The combat has gone through a few reworks, and the combat will come back to what it was going to be. Obviously, that was the OG video, the Blonde Mage. Okay, I'm thinking about the right one. So that video wasn't necessarily straight gameplay. those were kind of scenes that were taken from little bits and pieces. They would sort of, it was as much of the game as you would see the real world on a Hollywood set. We'll get this shot for this, we'll get this shot for this. It was very much a creation-y video. That being said, the combat is going to feel good. They know the combat, they know what they want out of the combat. I have just so much faith in this team. That's all I can keep coming back to, and I know I keep saying, but I have so much faith in this team because Steven, if nobody knows Steven Sharif, he is the creative director at Intrepid, and he is the lead guy on Ashes of Creation, and he was a big guild leader back in Arcage. I think he had the biggest guild in Arcage, one of the most hardcore guilds. So he knows what he wants in an MMO, and he knows what the player base wants in an MMO.
I'm a little hesitant of guys with a bunch of money that start video game companies, but reading about what people's experiences are, it did make me feel a little bit better. It's now I have hope. I've been trying to stay as succinct and as objective as possible, just because we've all been burned, like I said in the past. But yeah, it's been a little bit. I'm a little bit more at ease. Let's just say.
There's always been times of doubt in following this for me personally over the last 3 years, 4 years, 4 years, 4 years. Wow,
that's crazy.
It goes by crazy, but every time they make a decision, they seem to make what I feel is the right one. I mean, they're self-publishing the game, they're self-funding the game. What does that mean? It means it might take a little bit longer than normal. What does it also mean is that they're not going to push out a product that's not ready. And we see that so often in gaming.
Blizzard's philosophy used to be, we'll put it out when it's ready, or it's out when it's ready. And then, but once they started straying away from that, it hasn't been too good. I've been watching a lot of videos on the current state of World of Warcraft, and people don't seem happy about it. So hopefully this is not the same.
Yeah. Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed.
Awesome. So this was 2017. I assume that lots of things probably have changed from this video. Oh, they posted
this was a very, very early video. Like a very early video. I think this is one of the first ones that they released. This was, this is the blonde mage.
I mean, this doesn't look bad to me.
Yeah, some stuff has changed. I would say that the graphical fidelity has increased. The movement, the spells, things like that, just the normal things in the game have changed. This is obviously very early UI. The UI looks much better now, and it's getting even another rework.
Okay, good, because that was my biggest hang-up, was the UI.
And everything that you're seeing here was designed specifically for a small little run for a video. That being said, this is all stuff that you're going to see in the game, and even greater, and even on a grander scale with better graphical fidelity, things like that.
I mean, yeah, this, from what I see, this looks great too. My biggest, not complaint, but like what I noticed with the live streams is that the players didn't stand out enough, if that makes sense. Like, it, maybe because I'm not familiar with the armors, I'm not familiar with the items, I'm not familiar with the mounts, and it just seemed like everyone kind of like meshed together and no one really stood out to me per se. But that's because I'm not in it, I'm not playing it, I don't have a feel for it. So I think once I'm in and I feel it, then I'll know more. So like this video, it seems like that character looks good and it'll stand out. But from what I saw with the dev stuff, it didn't seem like those characters stood out to me too much. It just seemed hard to explain.
I can understand that when you get a bunch of people together, it just looks like a mass of bodies. People don't really stand out. You don't see that it's a bunch of individual characters. And I think that once you get beyond that point, we have very fixed armor sets in the game right now. There's only a few sets of armors, only a few weapons, and there's only 3 archetypes. So when you are actually in there playing, the characters are all going to look the same. It would be like jumping into WoW Classic and starting in like the orc starting area. They're all going to kind of look the same. By the time you get to the end, they'll all look vastly different. But day one, and these are kind of day one things that you're seeing in terms of gear, I feel like the characters will have enough customization between cosmetics, earned items, some specific individual dye channels, that it will make characters seem unique. You know, there will be a mage in all red and a rogue in black blinking in and out and a big glorious shining tank. You will end up seeing that and you will be able to differentiate. That being
Perfect.
said, I know it is a little tough. The clerics did say it was a little tough even right now to sprinkle in some healing when you had 5 or 6 people in a tight cluster around a single monster.
I think that's kind of where my brain was going, because I'm healer by trade, by forever, and I'm like, how am I going to click on people? How am I going to heal them? How is that going to work? What are the logistics for that? Especially when everyone clumps together, it just looks like a clump. So hopefully, and do they plan on doing add-ons in this game?
So
or allowing add-ons? Okay.
No, and that's always been something that I've said about World of Warcraft, and I know I'm going to trigger everybody that listens to this. It's a big WoW fan. I think it's so lazy to say we're going to put out a game and then we'll let the community figure out how to make it good. I think that feels really bad to me as a gamer. So they will not be allowing add-ons. There will not be DPS meters. That's the biggest add-on thing that everyone talks about. No, you will not have DPS meters. Well, how am I going to know if I'm doing good? Did you kill it? Yeah, you're doing good. Did you not kill it? Well, no. Well, then you're not doing good. They want to make most of those quality of life things within the game and within their product.
DPS meters stress me the fuck out. They stress me out. Was it? Yeah. Especially, I think I had mentioned this earlier. Final Fantasy 14. I started as a DPS, and this is the first time I've ever played DPS in an MMO, and I was the worst DPSer that could probably exist in the existence. And I'm so happy there were no DPS meters. But I knew that we were failing the raids because of my DPS.
I just like to stay at the bottom of the DPS meter so no one ever compares me to the top people. They never look down there because I blend in with the tanks and the healers on my DPS meter. I'm down there in the bottom. It's fine. It's great.
Perfect. You know? Kira, you're starting to sound interested. I know. We're getting there. But yeah. I'm super excited. Do you have any other things you want to talk about, or any topics that stand out to you, or things that you think need to be mentioned?
So there's one quick one that's been circulating. I've talked about this before, but I want to get everyone's opinion on this, and I'm excited to hear yours because you sound like you're a cosmetics person. You love the shinies.
I am.
So during the last live stream, they had mentioned that the cosmetics that you buy, so say you buy an outfit, will only be applicable to one character. And then there will be, if you want to switch that to another character, you will have to deassign it from that primary character. There will be a cooldown period, and then you can assign it to a different character and apply that cosmetic. How do you feel about that?
I am not an alt person. I usually stick with one character, go through that character, and either if I don't like, I'll start completely over and never touch that character again. I think I had read or I heard somewhere that this game is not going to be very alt friendly, and they want to try to stay away from that. So that mechanic kind of goes in line with that ideal of not being alt friendly. So for me, that's fine because I am not an alt person. I will probably never switch to a different character. I'm a one character type person. So if they are making the game with the intention of not catering to alts, then I could see this as one of the ways to do so. But yeah, if you have altaholics, I'm curious what they think about it. I am not an altaholic. Yeah.
It's definitely been a topic, and I think that somebody that I was talking about in the Axiom community said it perfectly, that it's kind of, they feel it's disrespectful to the player who's spending money. Mm-hmm. So if I have a mount skin, and I want that mount on my ranger, but I also want that mount on my mage. That feels bad that I have to switch it. So I can't easily switch between those two characters. I have to go through a whole process if I want my cool looking horse or my awesome looking bear.
Or you have to go and buy it again. Because Final Fantasy, I just started a new character in Final Fantasy, and I realized that some of my stuff didn't come with me. So some of the stuff that I had purchased on the cash shop, like cosmetic things, didn't come with my new character. I have to rebuy those for my new character. And it does feel a little shitty. But I like that they give you the option, even though there's a lot of things you need to do for that option. I like that they at least give you the option. Because, I mean, if it's a cooldown, then, I mean, Yeah, it seems like they really want to discourage alts with that kind of mechanic.
Definitely. And I guess the cooldown is really what bugged me personally about it, is either say that once I apply it, it's stuck on that character forever, or say that I can switch it and I can have it on all of my characters. Because a lot of people feel kind of upset. They say, well, I've never had the opportunity. If I want 2 of that mount skin, I've never had the opportunity as of right now to go buy 2 of that mount skin. I've only ever been able to buy 1. Maybe I want that mount on every single character I own. So I think that's where a lot of people are feeling really bad. And how bad is it going to feel when you make a character, like you said in Final Fantasy? You've made a character, you've put all these skins on it. You don't want to play that character anymore. You want to play a completely different character for whatever reason. The guild needs it. Your character's no fun, whatever the situation is. And now not only can you not move those skins around, but you're actually going to never be able to achieve those skins again, because everything they're selling right now is completely exclusive. Every month,
that's right.
when those skins go away, you're never seeing those skins again. You'll never have access to them again.
That's right. I forgot about that. I feel like that's a mechanic that's probably going to change. Like,
I have a feeling they'll get community feedback enough to make that change.
I feel like that's going to have to change. I mean, I could see that from a game developer point of view. Like, also, if you're developing that item, if you're the artist on that item, you would want that item to be in as many hands as possible, especially since they're limited items. Like, if I'm an artist working on a mount or something like that, yeah, it's cool that it's limited, but I would want to see that in as many hands as possible. And I noticed that after combat, when a player is done with his weapons, they actually disappear. Wouldn't it be better if the weapon stayed on the player's backside? I am a tank player. And it also gives uniqueness to every class. Are they considering to work? I would imagine that is probably going to happen. It's probably just not in the game right now. I'm not in it. I don't know. But I would imagine that's gonna, it might be logistics or stuff going on right now that it just disappears, but they're so intent on given you a realistic experience that I see that changing.
Yeah, there's no way that's not going to be a long-term thing in this game. You're definitely going to be able to see your weapon, your bow slung across your back, and a sword or a couple daggers on your side, things like that.
I mean, yeah, like I said, like looking at someone and looking at their weapons and looking at where they've been and what they've done, that's the whole MMO experience, right? That's what drives you to get your own, you know, like, oh my God, that weapon is so cool. Examine that person and then look it up online. Where the fuck do I get that weapon? And then
I want that thing and I want it now.
Exactly. I think, anything else from you?
Chat, do you guys have anything? Is that it? I mean, if not, my thing and my overarching thing would be, guys, I know Ashes of Creation right now to get into Alpha 1 is $500. To get into Alpha 2, it's $250 to $375. It's not a cheap time to get into the game. It is also a very early development process. So if you're not ready to test, if you're not ready to rubber band and fall through the earth and bang your head against the wall with bugs, don't feel pressured to get in right now. Come in later. Come in when things are a little bit more fleshed out. I think you'll enjoy it, and just spread the word, because the more people that are in this community, the better.
Awesome. Yeah, and don't feel the need to go into alpha when you have shows like this telling you what it's all about.
We're here. We're here to answer all your questions.
Awesome. And then pimp yourself out one more time, Mr. Fayne.
So guys, you can find me everywhere. itsFayne.com has all of my links to all of my socials: Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. Come check me out, hang out. If you have a question, tweet at me. I've had so many people out there that are just sending me Twitter DMs. Send me a Twitter. Slide into those DMs, guys. You can slide into those DMs. I'll answer your questions if you don't want to ask it publicly.
And then I'll pimp out your guild for a little bit. There you go. There's your guild. Joinaxiom.com seems like a very promising guild. And awesome. Thank you so much for your time. This was wonderful. Thank you everyone for watching. Last question, one more. How will ping affect gameplay and where will servers place? I have no idea.
They're going to have servers in both. I think they're working on opening up a EU office right now. And so they will have EU servers as well as regional NA servers and some Oceanic servers as well.
That's right. I got to fucking figure out if I got to go on an EU server or an NA server. Because I just had to move to an EU server for Final Fantasy because my lag was too high.
It gets a little brutal. It gets a little brutal. But thank you so much for having me on. This has been a blast.
Awesome. It's so nice having you. Thank you so much for doing this with me. Thank you so much for talking about Alpha 1 in the game. And yeah, don't forget, guys, itsFayne.com. And then I'm KiraCosmo.com. Thank you so much for watching. I'm going to upload this on YouTube either tomorrow or sometime this week, depending on my mood. And then go from there. Yes, thank you guys. Shoot us a follow if you want. We're going to try doing this every Tuesday. I will have Fayne back eventually whenever he decides to come back on. And then I'm going to have some next week. I'm going to be having in my calendar. Chibi Bree is next week. And we'll be talking about more alpha stuff. Yeah.
I'm sure Chibi's great. Yeah, very knowledgeable as well. So I'll tune in for that show.
Also, we might be doing a all girls Ashes podcast, and if you want to come up with a name for that, that would be great. But so far, the top choice is Lasses of Creation.
It's too good. You can't ever change that.
I can't say. I think that has to be it. I think that's it.
That has to be it.
I think that's
nobody come up with ideas. That's too good. Stop. Nobody come up.
Sweet. And thank you so much. Bye, guys.